Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much, Professor Meynard, for this fascinating and comprehensive talk. I would now give the floor to you. And if you want to raise a question, just kindly use the microphone so that also Professor Meynard can rightly understand what you're asking. So who would like to start? Question?
I have a question about his view of the notion of Tianzhu, because François Noël was focusing on somehow trying to find from the Neo-Confucianist background defending the notion of Taiji. My question or interest is how this notion relates to the officially approved in the period of Chinese rice controversy, the term for God, not Shangdi, but Tianzhu, and eventually was his interpretation of this.
Yes, thank you very much for this question, Dr. Jarek. Yeah, I think it is, we know that there were many names for God and who are already discussed in the Jiading conference in 1622. And so there was the term of Shangdi, of Tian, of Tianzhu. But because Noël is doing so much work on the Chinese classics, on the Chinese commentaries, so we see that Christianity should be inculturated in that tradition of the classics and the commentaries. And so he thinks the best way, the best use for the name of God is not a Tianzhu, because you cannot find the Tianzhu in the classics. And so he believed that the best should be, in fact, Tian, because the Tian, when you say Tian, all the Chinese will understand what a Tian means. And so he thinks that the Tian is the best. And I think his second best will be Shangdi. And the third will be perhaps a Tianzhu. But what he tries to say with Taiji, so Taiji for him is very important because it is developed in the commentaries of the Song Dynasty. You have the term of Taiji. And so he thinks, even though there is no use or there is no need inside the Catholic Church to use the term Taiji, and so not to make Tianzhu Jiao Biancheng Ige Taiji Jiao, and the teaching of Taiji. He doesn't think that will not be a good idea to transform a Tianzhu Jiao in a Taiji Jiao. But he still say that it is very important to understand that the concept of Taiji in Neo-Confucianism is an equivalent of God. And so we should not reject Jushi. We should not reject all the commentaries which have been made since the 12th century and until the 16th, 17th century. Thank you.
Thank you.
Professor Meynard, thank you for introducing Philosophia Sinica to us. No? After listening to your lecture, it seems to me that Noël is looking for natural theology in the Song and Ming philosophers, right? So if I understand correctly,
yes, correct.
Yeah. So Ricci thought that Taiji is prime matter, right? So in Aristotelian terms, this means material cause, right? And Noël listed 4 meanings of Taiji, right? So he said that natura naturans could be efficient cause.
Yeah.
Then the first meaning is essence of a particular thing. Right? Then couldn't this be formal cause? And I'm curious about the last one, no? The last one you mentioned, the remote origin of motion. And could this possibly be final cause? Well, of course, this is just speculative. No, it's very new to me. Could you comment on this? Because I'm interested in the metaphysics of Taiji? Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Ye, for your question. I think, yes, I think it is interesting to think about the four understanding of Taiji as the four causes of Aristotle. But if you say that the essence of a particular thing as being a formal cause, but of course, according to scholasticism, they see that a formal cause is not a transcendental cause. So they lack a transcendence. And so and also the Taiji as a prime matter is a material cause. Again, it lacks transcendence. And so it's why we see already that very much in Matteo Ricci, when he discusses the four causes, he understands that Chinese philosophy, somehow, they lack the final cause and they lack the efficient cause, yes. And so, but François Noël goes beyond, because he say that in fact in Taiji we can find already a kind of efficient cause. So I'm not sure about the final cause, because a final cause, according to Aquinas, will say that you have to say that a kind of end, a destination of the world. What will be the purpose of the world? And Aquinas will say that the purpose of everything is to enjoy beatitude, happiness, something like that. And so perhaps it's difficult, I don't know how to find a final cause in Chinese philosophy. But basically, I think your idea are correct. They try to, Noël tried to find transcendental cause within the Chinese philosophy.
So can I just follow up one question, please? So when Noël says that natura naturans is an efficient cause, then it has some transcendental dimension. Yes. In Taiji.
Yeah, yeah.
It's correct.
Yes, correct, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, curious about the location of the production and writing of the book. Why would he have selected Prague, or why would he have needed to go to Prague to produce this text and preserve the text as opposed to other locations within the Roman world?
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. So I think most of the work that he did was partly in China. So in China, he studied Chinese classics, and probably he started to do his translation and classification. And when he was in Rome, in fact, the books he brought with him were in Rome. So we don't have many Chinese books in Prague. So he brought the book with him in Rome, and they are still there. And so he used those works. But when he wanted to publish his own work, the Philosophia Sinica, because the Pope had just forbidden the Chinese rite, and the Chinese rite figure very prominently in his work, because especially the Philosophia Sinica, the second part of the book is about the Chinese rites. So I think he could not publish this work in Rome, and so somehow he find a way. So I don't know who helped him to do that. Probably it was because Prague was under the Jesuit assistancy of Germany. So probably it is the Jesuit of his assistants who helped him. What was the degree of knowledge of the Father General at that time? Did the Father General knew about this publication? Did he agree on that? So probably there will be a need to do more work on the Jesuit archive to see the documents and what are the to see what was the context for the publication of a work which was completely in being published in disobedience to the Pope.
Thierry, may I also ask about the originality of his conception about sin, as this ranks, as the one and only book. Could you anything say also in within the context of this understanding of Chinese philosophy?
Yeah, thank you very much, Father Roflin. I haven't read very carefully this work about this Chinese work. First, because this work, in fact, is not so easy to access, this Chinese work. So my understanding is mostly indirect. But what I understand is that already in the title of the book, probably it is a very, the first Chinese work is quite pessimistic about human nature, trying to tell Chinese people about the seriousness of the human sin, which of course is a very serious issue which will be tackled. But I think when later on he reads the Chinese classics, somehow he goes beyond this kind of this focus about the question of the sin, and they try to understand the Chinese philosophy and perhaps an opening of the human condition, of the human nature to the world, to the cosmos. So I should say that my understanding of Noël is still very fragmentary, because I have read only the first treatise about the question of God, and especially I didn't deal with the third treatise, which is about morality, basically use Mencius. So it will be interesting to do more research to see how he deals in his third treatise on ethics with the notion of the goodness of human nature according to Mencius, and how it relates that to the question of sin in the Catholic teaching. Thank you.
Paul?
I've noticed in the Chinese right controversies that there is a parallel conflict in the Chinese right controversy between the Jesuits from France and those from Iberia, Italy, etc. Of course, the original Catholic mission was set by Ricci under the Portuguese, and that continued for 100 years until about 1702, when this Chinese rights controversy comes up. That's instigated or supported or promoted by Tournon. And this particular period of time is quite interesting because it's the exact time when there's a political struggle for the control of the Iberian Peninsula. That's the War of the Spanish Succession. So the question is the Chinese rights controversy between what we see the personalities being French Jesuit versus Italian Portuguese Jesuit, is that a reflection of the political struggle for control of Iberia and hence the Catholic Church between Louis XIV, the Bourbons, and the Habsburgs? Of course, the Habsburgs have Prague as their capital, or at least one of their capitals. So Noël's publication of his book in Prague suggested he was being protected by the Habsburgs and their whole network within the Jesuit community. Could you comment on that?
Yes, thank you very much, Professor, for your question. I think you are a better specialist, but, because my specialty mostly is very limited, only about reading Chinese texts on the philosophy. So I think the Macao Ricci Institute has published the work of the Acta Pekinensia, already the 2 volumes. And so I think through this kind of works, we can understand better the political background. But for myself, I don't have much to say on this. I think you know much more than I do. Thank you.
Please don't be shy. It's a unique chance. But if there are no more questions, I really want to thank you, Professor Meynard, very much indeed. I think you have over so many years significantly contributed, and also you just referred to one of a major research project of the Ricci Institute is about to be accomplished after 5 years, so to speak, with the Acta Pekinensia, mega biblion, mega kakon, as we say, a big evil. No? But I think we plan, as this big evil is coming to an end, to have a conference on this together with the other Ricci institutes. So thanks again very much indeed. We have been really deeply inspired by your rich talk, and we look forward then the day when we can welcome you here. Merci beaucoup. Merci.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you.